I made the thumbnail, I should know. Yeah.
Something like that.
Hey everybody, welcome to Live at Epiphan. Say hi, George.
Hello.
He's George and I'm George.
To make it extra confusing today.
That's right. Today we have a show all about Twitch. We are going to be talking about the evolution of Twitch. So where it is now and where it's going, because we think it's a platform that could be changing a lot within this year.
Yeah.
And we also have some product news related to Twitch that we're going to be talking about next week. So we'll tease you with it today. You can ask us about it in the comments, and we'll ignore your comments. And but we'll come on sometime next week probably and talk about that.
Unless their comments are about something else, and then we're happy to address it. And please ask the questions in the comments.
Yeah, I shouldn't discourage comments.
Yeah.
Part of this conversation got going because we saw this Streaming Media magazine came into the office, which is always a hot read around here. And they
I wonder why.
Yeah, that's right. They have a prominent article on the state of Twitch as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of fit right into our discussion, and it's a good read if any of you are subscribers. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's a good primer.
And their cover title was great, "The World According to Twitch." I thought that is really well.
Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. And so we started rolling that around, trying to figure out what does that mean. We came up with the evolution of Twitch because it's something that's been on our radar for a number of years now.
Yeah, every time we put out a product, that's the first question is, does it go to Twitch? So it's something that we kind of need to understand about how people are using it and how it differs from Facebook and YouTube, which is what we have been using so far from our own perspective, and a lot of our customers too are using those platforms. So.
By the way, we are live on Twitch as the third platform today.
Yeah, it's twitch.tv/Epiphan video. So
if you wanted to check it out. But I think maybe 2-3 years ago, the response would have been, Twitch is just for gamers.
That's right. Until last year, right?
Yeah, and I think things start to shift, and that's what we really wanted to kind of look at today and break that apart.
That's right. So we're wondering, is Twitch going to move on from just being a exclusive gamer place right now? Because that's when you go to Twitch right now, it's just a flood of gamers. Yeah. And so was it last November or something like that when they came out with their IRL, or was it? It was
a little before that, but it was starting to build some steam.
Yeah, so they came out with IRL in real life, and they promote it as vlogging, fitness videos, cooking videos. So trying to get a little bit away from gaming and
sort of subcategories for talk shows now and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so there's a lot more, not just pure gaming content, but. I guess when we were looking at this, we started breaking it down into categories. The first one was why Twitch.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one, and I guess a lot of people for the past decade it's been YouTube, right? Especially from how to make money in this world kind of thing.
And people are always looking for a way to either get a new platform where they can be first ones in. Yeah. So some of those people who got into YouTube early on, they became massive stars just simply because they were some of the first people there.
For sure.
And other platforms, when they come up, if you have an opportunity to move in and become big in your own way.
Yeah. And similar things have happened on Twitch as well. Yeah. Right now, it's definitely dominated by gaming content.
But if you have an opportunity to get in on Twitch now and become one of the first people doing a legitimate non-gaming
I think there's a wide open door there right now.
It's wide open, yeah.
But why, I think, is in the past, 2017 saw some things happen on YouTube that a lot of creators were not happy with.
There was a lot of bad news.
Some of you may have heard the term, we've mentioned it in some previous shows too, the adpocalypse, and all these other things. So due to a number of sometimes controversies and things like that happened with some creators on YouTube, a lot of the larger and wealthier advertisers started pulling back, and that made ad revenues, especially for smaller to medium-sized channels, drop off pretty quickly. Yes. And if you're someone who just quit their day job to do that YouTube thing, and all of a sudden your ad revenues get cut by 50%.
So a lot of those people moved over to
I don't know about you guys,
Twitch.
but I couldn't afford to have my salary cut 50% tomorrow. I'd be on the street kind of thing. So that could be a major issue. And because of that, people have been saying, well, what other platform is there? What else can I do? And I really do think that that's probably the biggest answer to why Twitch.
Yeah. because
How-
it's the next thing. It's also
Yeah.
owned by Amazon, so you have to think they're going to get a massive push from them. And if Amazon wants to
Yeah.
try to make something happen there, they can make waves. They're not going to turn it into YouTube per se, but they could turn it into something pretty incredible. So.
But it is different. It is
Very
different, and that's critical. I think the biggest thing to focus on first is that Twitch is, I would say, 99.9% focused on live content.
Finding VOD content on Twitch, it's not the easiest thing.
It's not easy, but it's also just not what the platform is.
No, it doesn't work that
geared
way.
for.
Yeah, because the other thing that we talked about was the interactivity on Twitch is massive. Like you don't see a static broadcast with just someone with a camera doing their bit. It's all about either their interactivity with their viewers, but then their viewers also have a tremendous amount of community around what they're watching. So
Absolutely. I mean, we love interactivity on this show, which is great. But yeah, if you watch some of the stuff happening on Twitch, their chat feeds are just exploding.
it's going hard.
Every viewer is contributing pretty much. It's a very high level. But so to kind of throw some stats behind that to show that there's some. We're not talking about 1,000 people. I have a few things noted down here because I can't remember all these numbers. There's too many numbers.
Too many zeros.
But typical stats for 2017 was 100 plus million monthly unique users.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
100 million plus monthly. 15 million daily active users. So, I mean, from anybody's perspective, getting a slice of that is important. From a creator standpoint, to kind of contrast that, there were typically 2.2 million monthly broadcasters or creators. I think we're going to use those two terms interchangeably today.
Well, right now it's creators, but soon it could be more the broadcasters as this changes.
So it's not an empty market by any stretch. 2.2 million people monthly is a lot of creators.
You have to think that the broadcast, like the traditional broadcasters of the world and even the more conventional broadcasters in the world, are going to want to somehow tap into that market.
Yeah, and I don't know when they're going to pick that up. And I think that's...
But it's the format is so different because it's like these people who you see on Twitch, they go live 6 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Some of them, yeah.
Coming up with that kind of content schedule is insane. And I haven't seen people on Twitch who are successful who do like weekly shows.
No. And part of their partnership model encourages, minimum 3 to 4 days of activity, in a given week.
Just to get a certain status, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And that plays into some other numbers that we'll talk about.
But I can see all the like news people and people who have that content schedule that is constant, like radios and broadcast companies. They have it there, so
they do. But it's a different model. So maybe an acronym that some people are familiar with. It's one that I'm still not used to hearing when it does pop up in conversations. Is OTT.
Oh yes, over the top.
Yeah. So that's a totally different distribution model to the traditional broadcaster.
Yes.
In fact, it is literally the opposite. It is, more direct, less middleman.
It's without going through the communications and telecommunications companies to get right to your consumer.
But it's
the socialism of the telecommunications industry.
If you want to put it that way, yeah. But to go outside of what we normally would say are the traditional broadcast mediums, what I find so curious about it, and I think Twitch is a great example of that, is that it actually works in both directions, both from the creator out and from the viewer back.
Oh, because nobody's paying fees on either end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so to a certain degree, you have opportunity to do different things and have different revenue models, and that can really give you some interesting things to do. So. In terms of the evolution, we were talking IRL is definitely going to pick up for sure. They're definitely going to be adding some new stuff, I think. There's a few creators out there right now in the talk show category, actually.
That's what we're looking at right here.
Yeah.
Maybe we can pull up the picture-in-picture and we can show.
Yeah, so this is a channel called The Attack. They basically do a talk show. It's literally in the talk show category.
Yeah.
I chose these guys not because they're huge. It looks like we're getting some excellent color shift on our.
Yeah, they're green. They're not as green. They don't actually look that green, but there's something going on with our
HDMI technical difficulties issue there. But I selected these guys as a sample because they have one of the highest quality in terms of the broadcast image, and
that's one of the things
you know,
I found astounding about Twitch is
it's
that
a lot of webcam.
it's a mountain of webcam, and not a lot of people sort of taking their production to the next level.
These guys definitely are.
So I
You
think
saw
there's an
some-
opportunity for them to there's an opportunity for you and other people to sort of
Right.
come in and be a little bit higher quality. Like it wouldn't take
think
a
so.
whole lot.
Yeah, and certainly right now, I think another reason why traditionally a lot of people were not excited about Twitch is they would usually limit to 720p as a maximum resolution and relatively low bit rates.
Right.
But that's changing. You know, much like Facebook is kind of limited to the same sort of things, and they are slowly
Sure.
evolving. So is Twitch. There are some channels who have access to up to 1080p 60 on Twitch.
But that's something they designate to.
To some channels. I've seen it kind of random. Some bigger ones that have exclusive partnerships, and some other ones that,
Cool.
you know, I'm not sure. But at some point, you know, and again, you mentioned the power of Amazon behind them.
Yeah.
That means that at some point they have the power to create the infrastructure to support the much higher quality
Yeah,
streaming.
and they can start bringing in their content too because
Yeah.
they have Amazon Prime and they have.
Well, that's the
their-
funny thing is they've done that.
Yeah,
They-
that's what
they've-
you're saying. They brought in their
yeah,
what,
they've-
pilot programs or something?
Yeah, so for some of their exclusive Amazon Prime shows that they've been putting out, they actually ran some pilots
Yeah.
on Twitch with live polling to leverage the interactivity of Twitch to get that. So I don't know if anybody ever went to one of these live pilot test case things. I went to them when I was a kid. It was weird, but you can just do that on Twitch now. You don't need to have people go into some ballroom in some weird place and get a bunch of weirdos to give you comment
Like
cards.
you and your family.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you can now do it with 10,000 people on Twitch. Right?
Yeah.
And so there's some power to that. And, you know, they've experimented with rebroadcasting The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross.
Well, they have all these
and, like,
shows
all
that
these
they seem to
things.
do these binge. They run them back to back for like
Yeah.
42 hours.
And those have been
They
experiments.
have like a Julia Child show that
Yeah.
they're going to do the same thing for, and for some reason they build a community around that show. Just all the interactivity.
Well, the funny thing is that if you look into it, it's just Twitch experimenting. They want to see
yeah.
what happens with this other type of content. And
Imagine that you have this 100 million subscriber base, and you're just like, let's try this. Whoop. You throw it in there.
I mean, when you got the money of Amazon behind you,
Yeah, they can do
You
it.
know, you literally have the richest man in the world backing you.
Well,
You
and
kinda-
they are fun. Like they are making money.
They
right?
are.
So we could talk a little bit
Sure.
about that revenue model. That's something that's kind of a rabbit hole, but we talked earlier about how YouTube's revenues are basically down a little bit because they're not getting the same ad revenues that used
Yet
to.
to see if they'll recover. So
Of course, they're still making piles of money, and there's still tons of people
Sure.
making a lot of money
Absolutely.
on YouTube. But some people are not making as much, so they're looking
well,
to
they
move
just
around.
changed the rules for who can monetize. They've now set a bar,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
a bar pretty high for monetization on
Yeah,
YouTube,
yeah.
especially for smaller channels. The biggest number being 4,000 watch hours annually for a small channel. That's a struggle.
Yeah,
that's harder than it
that's a lot,
sounds.
yeah.
And if you're less than that, you cannot monetize on YouTube anymore. So, and I think that's another reason why 2018 is going to see a growth in a crossover from that. Doesn't mean, like you said earlier, changing your model a bit. If you're
Yeah.
used to the pure
Very
VOD,
different. Yeah.
now you're going to live. Well, okay.
So these
But-
people who are going live, they go live for 6 hours a day. They make their money in a couple of ways. They have subscribers,
Yes,
and what is if I subscribe to Georgie Boy's Twitch channel?
costs you
Not me, Georgie Boy. You, Georgie Boy.
right. It costs you, the viewer, a basic $5 subscription. In that model, typically,
What do I get? Yeah.
well, you get the subscription, and it also means that typically you will see no ad plays if the creator chooses to use ads.
Okay.
Most likely, they have them disabled for subscribers. So
Yes.
right away, you're
Yeah,
getting
okay.
ad free. You also get sometimes exclusive access or usage of chat.
Okay.
As well as there's other little things like emotes and emojis and stuff like that that you can use in chat that non-subscribers don't have. You
Right.
get little badges. There's a certain status
Yeah. Okay.
status symbol, you know, where you can kind of feel better than everybody else.
Yeah.
But from a creator perspective, typically a $5 sub would split $3, $2 with Twitch. So the subscriber
Gets two?
So the creator gets $2 out of that $5 for every sub.
So one of the guys you talked about, what was his name?
Well, I don't want to throw the name out there, but I was going to look.
Okay.
I pulled some numbers earlier today. That currently the #1 ranked channel on Twitch, as of this morning when I looked, and these things change, has almost 2.7 million followers, not subscribers, but followers. So people who intend on watching and will get notifications when that person goes live. But they have somewhere around 19,000 subscribers. Now, these are monthly subscribers, so that refreshes every month.
So he's getting 40,000 a month,
Give
more
or
or less,
take.
just from his
Just
subscribers.
from subscribers. So that's not counting ad revenue.
Yeah.
And then it's not counting maybe in some ways, the bigger one, and one of the really crazy things about Twitch is the tips or the donations.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole other thing. YouTube has their super chat, right?
Which is
What Twitch has, both as third-party plugins that you can do where a creator can get 100% of that,
yes.
or their built-in system that they call cheering or bits.
It's like all those Asian social networks that have all the ton of that stuff. Like,
Yeah, but with bits, the viewer can buy bits. They can use their Amazon account to buy bits. They can then spend them in chat, and they can include messages with that and things like that.
So it's a way to feel connected to the
It's
to the,
more
to the
engagement,
channel,
more interactivity. But again, you're getting, bits. About 100 bits cost the viewer about $1.40.
Yeah.
For one bit, the creator will get 1 penny. So it's not huge, but it's another cut.
Yeah.
So if you get, I've seen some channels where they'll get a 5 to 10,000 bit tip every half an hour, right? And if that's happening streaming for, a while, you're making minimum wage off of tips.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so I think that's the other thing of why Twitch is legitimately, if you're good enough, your content's good enough, and with any of these things, if you have the personality to back it up to bring in those viewers,
that's huge. You can't go in there and be
especially live. 6
hours.
This is something we know.
We do it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it's
Imagine
it's
this
a lot.
8 hours.
Exactly. But there is money to be made from a business perspective, and that's an interesting thing. So the other thing, I think, another number to throw in there, and for any of the broadcast professionals out there, the average watch time per user right now is about 106 minutes daily.
That was like television watching time in the 80s.
Yeah. This is, on the internet, is only second to Netflix.
Wow. Yeah, it's huge.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
If you can get a piece of that nearly 2 hours a day for those 15 million.
I know. Yeah, I'm very curious to see where this goes. You got to think all these broadcasters are just chomping at the bit to get it.
But it's a growing platform too. Like, these are the numbers from 2017. When I looked at the numbers for December 2017, their maximum viewers was just under 1.5 million, where the historical
What does that
average,
mean? 1.5 million.
1.5 million maximum viewers daily, I believe, is what that broke down to. The historical average is under 800,000 K. So just their historical average to what December was. And January 2018 is actually shaping up to be a growth over December. This is a platform that is growing at a fairly steady pace. I mean, I think another thing I'll throw out there, because it's something I actually kind of like about Twitch quite a bit, as just a total side note, they actually really like being involved in charity. And a lot of streams team with Twitch to do charity. A lot of it is children's charities, children's hospital charities, things like that. In 2016, they only raised $25 million for charity.
Wow, that's amazing.
And this is from a bunch of nerdy gamers.
Totally. It's all grassroots.
Yeah. And I think, that's maybe the best word for the evolution of Twitch. It is in the grassroots phase.
I just wonder how long it's going to stay grassroots and when it's going to become corporate, because it feels like they haven't really got that business side. Like I don't see the.
And I think they're building partnerships with that.
Yeah.
Right now, most of those partnerships are around gaming companies.
Yes.
And they're professional esports leagues. That's legit. But at some point, I think that will break open more. And and that's the evolution. And I think we will see quite a bit of that in 2018. and kind of watch that develop will be interesting.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'd be really excited to hear how any of our customers or any of the people watching this show are using Twitch or thinking about it, because
We're using it with Pearl 2 today.
we're using it with Pearl 2 today, and we're streaming to Twitch kind of as a just test run. We did it last week too, just because we're trying to get familiar with it. And like a lot of the other people on Twitch, we're trying to figure out a new place to put content that we've traditionally been doing on Facebook and YouTube. So we need to kind of adapt and figure out how that works. But if you have any stories about how it works, let us know, and we'll talk about it here on the show.
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions about this, I know this was a bit of a rambling one today, just sort of throwing things around, but I find it really fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for 2018 to see where this goes. You know, in a year from now, we can kind of come back and go, all right, what are we now talking about?
I know.
You know, 30 million daily active users. I think it's possible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think it's possible. So,
Is that about it?
I think that's about it. I guess a couple notes. We're coming down to the deadline for ISE in Amsterdam. That's just sort of a shopkeeping note. I know we've mentioned it several times, but
And we have big news coming up for there.
Exactly.
Bigger news. Yeah.
Um,
But we're
so-
not going to tease you that one
No,
until that.
we're going to keep that, hold our cards close for that one.
Yeah,
But
it's a good one.
any of our European viewers, if you happen to have the opportunity to come see us in Amsterdam, that second week of February,
February 6th.
6th to the
6th to
9th,
9th, something
6th
like
to the
that.
9th.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be there. Dan, who is often sitting here, will be there, and a number of other Epiphan team members will be there. And we would love to chat with you about Twitch or Facebook or YouTube or Pearl or Webcaster or
Anything else.
whatever you want to chat about. That would be fantastic.
Yeah,
So-
don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. Visit us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Epiphan Video. And we'll see you in a week.
yeah.
Do you know what we're talking about next week?
I actually don't, because I've been so distracted with prepping for ISE that it's too much going on.
We might have a guest on the show next week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. What kind of guest?
I'm not sure yet.
Above.
Well, I have to figure out if she's coming on the show.
Okay.
We'll see. Anyway,
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
It sounds really interesting. I'm already intrigued, and I don't even know what's going on.
okay, we'll see you in a week.
All right. Thanks
Bye,
for joining
everybody.
us.